hora que debido al tránsito de Buenos Aires, entonces algunos de nuestros, no vamos a dar nombres, algunos de nuestros queridos conferenciantes no pudieron llegar exactamente a tiempo. Esta es una noche muy especial para el Seminario Rabínico. Contamos con la presencia de... What's that? Contamos con la presencia de literalmente eminencias de los conocimientos, de aquello que se puede llamar judaica. Gente que ha estudiado y profundizado en los conocimientos bíblicos, acerca de la actuación y del currículum de cada uno. La presentación estará a cargo de Miguel Toimacher, que es el presidente del Seminario Rabínico. Nuevamente, bienvenidos. רק מילה אחת בעברית לכם, זאת השפה המשותפת שלנו, כן? ריצ'רד, גם כי זאת שפה משותפת איתך, העברית, אז ברוך בואכם לביתנו, ומה שאמרתי זהו שאנחנו מתכבדים בכבוד מיוחד לקבל אתכם, שאתם מייצגים את השופרה שבשופרה בלימודי היהדות, כל אחד בתחומו. אז רב תודות לכם על תרומתכם לתרבות ישראל בארגנטינה, בהיותכם פה ובדבריכם ובלימודיכם. רב תודות. ניגש.
Buenas noches a todos. Y es un gran honor para mí darles una cálida bienvenida a este simposio de Biblia. Tener entre nosotros a estas cuatro personalidades es un verdadero orgullo para el Seminario Rabínico y sabemos que para ellos también. Somos la única institución en Latinoamérica capaz de reunir a tan brillantes estudiosos en materias tan profundas de nuestro pueblo. El profesor Emanuel Tov vive en Jerusalén, es profesor emérito de la Universidad Hebrea de Jerusalén, Pras Israel, entre muchas otras distinciones internacionales. Por el estudio de la Biblia, recibió premios en Alemania, en la Academia Británica, honor doctoral en la Universidad de Viena. Bienvenido. Naomi Gretz, especialista en temática de Biblia y feminismo, lectura feminista de la Biblia. Fue durante muchos años profesora de la Universidad Ben Gurion en Beersheba, en el Negev, y autora de muchos libros en la materia y de numerosos artículos académicos. Bienvenida. El profesor Bezalel Porten es profesor emérito de la Universidad Hebrea de Jerusalén, es especialista en Biblia y autor de libros y artículos académicos muy citados: Los judíos de Elefantina, textos arameos, papiros y ostraca. El profesor y rabino y amigo de la casa, Richard Freund, doctor en Historia y Arqueología, y entre paréntesis, se recibió de rabino en nuestra casa en el año 84. Es doctor en Historia y Arqueología internacionalmente reconocido. Es egresado de nuestra casa, actualmente es director del Centro Maurice Greenberg de Estudios Judaicos y profesor de Historia de los Judíos en la Universidad de Hartford, Connecticut. Ha dirigido y dirige proyectos arqueológicos en Israel proyectos en Europa en nombre de la universidad, también en España, en Burgos y en Cádiz, y un proyecto de investigación en el campo de exterminio de Sobibor en Polonia. Es autor de 6 libros sobre arqueología, 2 libros sobre ética judía y más de un centenar de artículos académicos y apariciones en documentales y televisión. Por supuesto, nos acompaña también el rector, el rabino Abraham Skorka, nos acompaña todo el staff del Seminario Rabínico y todos ustedes. Señores, vamos a escuchar a los profesores. Gracias.
Hello. It's a pleasure for me being here with your community. I'm afraid I have to speak in English. I don't know much Spanish. The topic of my small talk, my short talk, is what is the Bible? And I'm holding here in my hands one of the editions of the Bible, but this is a scholarly edition, it makes no difference. The general talk is, what is the Bible? The Bible is a beautiful book, elevated, with high intellectual and high intellectual values, which I have studied now for, who knows, maybe half a century. But if you ask me what is the Bible, there are many things I still do not know. I know what the Bible is today. I know in some ways what the Bible was 2,000 years ago, 2,500 years ago, but there are still many riddles. And if you remember this view that I utter, then it's important to indeed remember that there are many things we do not know. What we do know is that this book is the Holy Scripture of the Jewish people, that you know. It is also the Holy Scripture of the Christian people, and all in different ways. It is, in fact, not easy to accept the situation that the Bible, or so-called Old Testament, is Holy Scripture of different religions, and it is sometimes really complicated. At our conference, there's a book display, and I see there's a large sign which says Biblia del Pueblo de Dios. And I thought at first, this is very interesting, because I thought always that the people of God is the Jewish people. But this was not a Jewish edition, this is a Christian edition. And of course, the Christians consider themselves equally as much as the people of God as the Jews do. So this is the source of some difficulties. Now, and also the content of the Bible is different between the Jews and the Christians in different ways. Our Bible is called, not by Jews, but by Christians, Old Testament. We call it just the Bible, or Tanakh, or Hebrew Bible. The Christians added a segment to the Bible, which is the New Testament. But now things get more complicated, because the Christian Bible has a different content also for the Old Testament, because the Old Testament for the Christian Bible includes the books of the Septuagint, and these additional books are called Apocrypha. Apocryphal books, or Sfarim Chitzoniyim. And here is a difference between the Catholics and the Protestants, because for the Protestants, these are really at the additional books, the Apocrypha, at the secondary level, but for the Catholics they are more elevated. And you get some very interesting situations, like we celebrate the festival of Hanukkah, but Hanukkah is not told in the Hebrew Bible. So it's in the Talmud, but it's not in the Hebrew Bible. But there's a very interesting situation, because the story of Hanukkah is told in the books of the Maccabees. And these books are in the Greek Bible and are sacred for the Catholics and of course for the Eastern Church, but not for us, because actually the apocryphal books, the Sfarim Chitzoniyim, they are forbidden by the Talmud. Kol HaKoreh b'Sfarim HaChitzoniyim en lo chelek b'olam haba. Anyone who reads in the Sfarim Chitzoniyim has no part of the world to come. So we celebrate the festival of Hanukkah, which has a base, official base only in Christianity. This goes to show how complicated the history is of the Hebrew Bible, because these books were once part of the living Jewish tradition, but not anymore. After the beginning of Christianity, these apocryphal books were split off from Judaism, and they are not any part anymore in the Jewish religion. Now you look in the Hebrew Bible, Kaf Dalet Sfarim, 24 books. First of all, there still are some people who think that Torah is Bible. But of course, you know that's not true. The Torah, the 5 books of Moses, is only the very beginning of the Bible. And the Bible is Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim, Tanakh. Now, if you look in the contents of the Bible, and you see that the Nevi'im, the prophets, are in the second part, but there's also one prophet in the third part, namely the book of Daniel. How is this possible? The Greek Bible arranged the books in a more logical way, you might say, because they have all the prophets together. But what do I mean, more logical way? It's secondary, because they arrange in secondary level, they arrange the books, while the structure of the Hebrew Bible is more that of the historical growth, the development of the Bible. So first, the books of the Torah were finished, were accepted, were authoritative. Then the books of what we now call Nevi'im, Yoshua, Shmuel, etc., and the prophets were accepted. And only the third part, which has a strange name, Ketuvim, because there's no other name than Ketuvim means the written books. There's no other name that can really bring all the wide variety of these books together, and that has the book of Daniel, because it was really accepted by the Jewish people only at a later stage. Also, in that third part, you have the book of Ruth, the little book of Ruth. Now, the book of Ruth starts with the words, Vayi bimei shvot hashoftim, and it happened in the day of the judging of the judges. So that really belongs to the book of Judges, you might say. No, but that book was created later, and so it's only in the third part. Again, the Christian tradition, the Greek tradition has it in a better way, because they have the book of Ruth together with the book of Judges. I say better way, that's in quotation marks, because it's secondary. The Hebrew Bible reflects the way in which the books really developed. What is written in the Bible? Well, that not everyone knows, and there are various different kinds of books. Even books that you would not immediately think that they are included in the Bible. Beyond the Torah, we have a large historiographic collection of books. The Bible is the history of the Jewish people. It's the religious history of the Jewish people from the beginning, from the creation until the very end, the book of Chronicles. Again, in the Bible they're not placed next to each other, because in the second compartment you have the books of Joshua until the end of Kings, and then Chronicles is not after the book of Kings, but it's only at the very end of the Bible. It's religious history. It is history from the point of view of the people of God that were created by God and were guided by God all the time. It's the history of the people that have a God that is forgiving, because the people of Israel often forgot their gods, went to other gods. And the God of Israel said, okay, I will not destroy my people, and I will keep them in a safe haven, and I will guide them all the time. So it's a very religious book. It's a religious book that was written by inspired writers. Now this is an issue some people may think, and maybe we will have different views on this. In scholarship we may have different views. It's not written by God. Not even the Torah is written by God. And I hope I do not disturb anyone's feelings. The books, and it's really already in the Talmud. In Baba Batra 14:15, it's already said who were actually the authors of the books, and God does not appear there. The 5 books of Moses were written by Moses. But how could Moses have written his book if it tells at the end in Deuteronomy 34 that he died? So Moses wrote most of the Torah, and the end was completed afterwards. And so Baba Batra tells us exactly what is the tradition about the authors of the different books. Scholarship goes a little further and will try to detect different layers, different compositions. Scholars will say, well, even the Torah is not all of one hand, because just think about it, it's not very easy that you have the laws of Pesach in Shmot, Exodus, in Vayikra, in Numbers, and actually also in Deuteronomy. So you have it in 4 different books. So there must be something that show the development of certain things. And scholars continue to quarrel about these things. We know the Bible from our editions, from the manuscripts from the Middle Ages, and we know the Bible from earlier sources, from the Dead Sea Scrolls. There are various views also on the relation between the biblical books, because sometimes 2 books tell the same story. For example, there is the book of Chronicles that tells the same story as Samuel and Kings. It's not the same, but it's very close. It tells us how a later writer considered this history of the Jewish people with new views. And you should really try to compare, because King Solomon and King David are better persons in the book of Chronicles. Solomon sins less, and David does even better things, more important things in the book of Chronicles. This is not a problem. So, but it's good to remember that within the Bible you have different views. What do we do with the book, with the Song of Songs? Some of you would have thought that maybe this is not a book that you would have immediately considered to be included in sacred history. Because what is the Song of Songs? It is a song that tells us about the love between a man and a woman. It describes the beauty of the woman. And what does that have to do with sacred history of the Israelite people, or the ancient Jews? Well, some people will say, well, the Bible really contains all that existed at one time of beautiful ancient writings. But the Song of Songs really entered into the canon, into the group of writings, together with an important interpretation. This is not the law between a man and a woman. This is the law between God and his people Israel. And if you accept that view, then of course there's no problem. Then and you can continue in the same way, and you see that the whole Bible, reading even the Song of Songs, is sacred history, sacred writings, inspired writings of the Jewish people of ancient times. Scholars say more or less until the 2nd century before the Common Era. This, in a nutshell and very briefly, is an introduction to my view of what is the Bible.
Nuestro agradecimiento a Emanuel Todd. Naomi? Richard, please.
Ok, yo voy a hablar solamente 5 minutos en castellano para ustedes. Y después, todo lo que tengo acá es en castellano y yo voy a hablar en inglés. ¿Ok? ¿Basta? Ok. Antes de todo, quiero decir gracias a ustedes por venir. Es algo tan importante para el seminario tener personas de esa calidad de hablar sobre la Biblia. Yo voy a hablar sobre arqueología bíblica. No es exactamente la Biblia. La Biblia. ¿Sí es? ¿Es bueno para usted? ¿Sí? Ok, gracias. Lo bueno en todo esto es que arqueología bíblica no es una cosa, es muchas cosas. Lenguajes, países muy distintos. No es solamente en Israel, es Egipto, Líbano, otros lugares, lenguajes. Si ustedes tienen el diario de hoy, era algo sobre Gilgamesh. Hay una exhibición ahora en UCA de Gilgamesh. Eso realmente es una influencia de lo que podemos decir de Sumeria. No es Israel. Es ahora Irak, ¿ok? Pero cuando decimos algo sobre esto, arqueología bíblica puede decir mucho más que lo que está escrito solamente en la Biblia. La Biblia no es solamente Tanaj, los 39 libros que tenemos en el Tanaj, o 27 libros que tenemos en el Nuevo Testamento, es también otros escritos, que hablamos de muchos escritos, no solamente de los judíos, influenciados por otras culturas. ¿Ok? Everybody's got it? Así es. Muchos países, many different countries. Everybody's got this? Vamos a ver. Sí, así es. No, es también Grecia. Grecia no es en el Medio Oriente, pero Grecia es muy importante para Israel. So when we talk about biblical archaeology, we're not talking about only Israel. We're talking about Egypt, we're talking about Mesopotamia, we're talking about Greece, Rome, we're talking about countries that are very different, with different cultures, and it's impossible to say that one thing is biblical archaeology. Everybody with me? Okay. This is what an excavation is. This is called, in Spanish, montículo. A montículo is very artificial mound, a tel. Ustedes conocen Tel Aviv. El nombre Tel significa really a layer cake. There's really only three laws. I'm going to give you the 3 laws of archaeology. Everybody's going to go away with at least this. You ready? The 3 laws of archaeology are ubicación, ubicación, y ubicación. Real estate, exactly. So why is that so important? It means that the same people are going to occupy the same space one time after the other. So when we look at something like this, we're looking at really a layer cake. Over here is the oldest part of a mound, and the top. And they all are micro-histories. So it's very simple. When we talk about archaeology, we're not talking about one period. We're not talking about only the period of the ancient Hebrew Bible. We're talking about different periods, and that's why when you talk about biblical archaeology, you really have to talk about a city, a place, a sitio, okay? And why did they build in the same place? Ubicación, ubicación, ubicación. If they had water, if they had agriculture, if they had a road, they're going to build in the same place. You ever hear of Buenos Aires? Okay. Everybody needs the same things throughout history. When we look at archaeology, we're looking at that kind of development. This is what a monticulo looks like. When people go to talk about these things, it's an artificial, okay? It is not the same topography that we have in the same area. It's a different topography. You can see, this is sticking out of nowhere. And why did somebody abandon this? Why? Destruction, man-made, and destruction by nature. Sometimes it's just the change of a road, the change of sedimentation, an earthquake, something like that will change. And where do we find out all the information about a place with a very famous name? How many people have heard of Megiddo? Okay, that's bad. That's very bad. Megiddo is a very important place. You should all know it, because the end of the world is going to happen there. Armageddon is going to happen there. Har Megiddo is a place that has 20 different excavated layers. Same place, different times. Okay, I'm just going to talk about myself for a second. In the last 30 years, I've been excavating this one site. This one site is called Beit Saida. And today I was at the Archbishop's education, and I was talking to them about what we do in biblical archaeology and why it affects Christian archaeology, Catholic archaeology. This place is called Beit Saida because it was La Casa de los Pescadores, Beit Saida. Very well mentioned in Josephus, very well mentioned. Josephus Flavius was a 1st century historian, very well mentioned in the New Testament, and nobody knew where it was. but it was supposed to be on the Sea of Galilee. Well, people have been running around the Sea of Galilee, and by the way, the Sea of Galilee is not a sea. It's not even a good lake. It's in antiquity, Josephus says it's about 16 miles by 6 miles. Today it's about 12 miles by 6 miles. Just so you should go and visit before it, okay? Just so you know. That and the Mar Muerto, you got to go before they disappear. Anyway, the important thing about this site was we had theories. And in biblical archaeology, it is not just reading a text like the New Testament and saying, oh, there was a place where 6 of the 12 disciples came and met with Jesus for the first time. Or, oh, there's a place where all these great miracles happened. Okay, and say, oh, that place, but we can't find it. So I want to tell you a little story. I was a student 40 years ago. And I had a New Testament professor who said, how do we know that the New Testament and the Hebrew Bible are all made up? How do we know? Bethsaida. How could there be a famous place where 6 of the great disciples of Jesus and all of the major miracles all happened in one place and nobody can find it on the Sea of Galilee? They were looking in the wrong place. Todos entendieron. Es tan importante. They were looking in the wrong place. They were looking at the present Sea of Galilee. And guess what, friends? The Sea of Galilee, over the past 2,000, 3,000 years, not only shrank, it didn't shrink. The sedimentation that comes down after earthquakes built up the coastline over a period of about 1,000 years. And the last big one that hit at the end of the 2nd century of the Common Era, no fishermen could bring their boats out to the lake anymore. And the Jordan River sedimented the whole thing in. So after 30 years, I can say something very important. Geology and geography is a part of biblical archaeology.